Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Network. My name is Jeff Bradbury, and thank you so much for joining us today and making TeacherCast your home for professional development. This is Ask the Tech Coach, the podcast for instructional technology coaches, episode number 53. Today, we're talking about how to survive the end of the year staff development days. I am so thrilled that you guys are here. The weather is getting warmer. It is time for ISTE. We're going to be talking all about some of the stuff that we're going to be doing at ISTE and how we want to meet up with you guys. But first, I want to introduce our guests from the great state of Pennsylvania. I want to bring on Miss Jean Marie McGinley. Jean Marie, how are you today? Welcome to the program.
I am surviving Meltdown May. That's what I'm doing right now. So I can't wait to talk about PD and Meltdown May.
Meltdown May is something I know too well. It's that time where everybody says things like APs and finals and no and see you later. Talk to us a little bit about yourself. What do you do during the day?
So right now, it's a new position that our district just developed, and I'm an educational instructional coach, but it's an admin position.
Wow.
Yes, but I understand why. There's so many laws with COPA. If you think special education, I was surprised that they initiated it as this, but now I understand why. I'm so heavily involved. There's such a law piece to this, and I have a lot of neat information about Google this year and the laws about that. It's now under 18. It used to be under 13. That's new this year from a lawyer that I met at P&C. So nice. A lot of changes happening that you need to stay on top of.
Well, that sounds like that sounds like a show topic right there for everybody. I know I can see the hands coming up in people's cars as they're driving up today saying,
but I'll say, I know you're trying to get me to stay on topic. So I have, my real job is that I have 5 elementary buildings that I go in and I integrate technology.
That's awesome. Yes. See, now we're splitting topics already. Would love to talk sometime about being a tech coach with an admin. There's a new one for everybody. I also want to bring on today from also the great state of Pennsylvania, Mr. James. Jim?
You can say James if you want to. That's fine.
James is great. James Gosser from Pennsylvania. How are you today, James?
I'm doing great.
Thank you so much for being here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, so I'm the instructional technology coach for my district is the Chamonix district in Langhorne, PA. So just like Gene, I'm not an admin position. I'm actually a teacher on special assignment with mine as a tech coach. So my daily routine is pretty much we have the products that we use. We try to show our teachers how to new innovative ways of using them. But again, making sure that technology is the tool. You still have other things that they should be doing, not just giving them technology to play with.
Jim, it sounds like you saw Weston at Pete. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, right?
My favorite book.
Oh, my goodness. I am so happy that you guys are here, and I'm glad that both of you said that your job is technology integration. We're going to be talking all about that stuff, especially now that it's the end of the year, and how do we get our teachers to, let's just be honest, be interested in all of that stuff. But first, I want to share with you guys a couple things that are going to be happening. We are looking forward to the 2019 ISTE conference. I had a fantastic phone call this week with ISTE all about the sessions that we're doing. Let me tell you where we're going to be. If you are at ISTE this year, on Saturday morning at 8:30 in the morning, we are going to be doing a 3-hour educational podcasting workshop where we're going to be taking educational podcasting, how to do it in your studio, how to do it in your classroom, and you guys are going to have the opportunity to be hands-on with tools, with equipment, with applications. We're going to run you guys through podcasting from the ground up. I am so looking forward to this. And if you guys are interested, I found out right now we've got 40 people signed up for that, but you can certainly add more. I would love to see 100 of you guys all show up and support the workshop. We have some great stuff. So the podcasting workshop is going to be 8:30 to 11:30. Then we're going to take an hour break, which is not something I'm going to be used to at ISTE, because at 12:30, we're actually going to be coming back. And between 12:30 and 3:30, we're actually doing an Ask the Tech Coach workshop, all about helping technology coaches learn how to create dynamic and amazing professional development. What do I mean by that? We're going to be diving into the how, the what, the where. So if you're a new technology coach or going to be a new technology coach, it's the place for you to be. If you've been a technology coach for a while, we're also going to be doing doing a hands-on deep dive where you guys are going to be able to talk to everybody around the room and walk out of the session with your own educational technology integration plan. You guys know it. We've been talking about it throughout the year. We are going to be dealing with a full workshop on how to create an ed tech integration plan that you guys can take back to your district after ISTE and say, hey, this is how technology integration should be. This is how we'd like to get moving with things. Let's sit down. Let's have meetings. The summertime is fresh. We are so looking forward to all of that. So 8:30 is our podcasting workshop. 12:30 is our tech coaching workshop. And that's just Saturday. We're getting started. I know the show's almost over, right, guys? But on on Monday, we have a 2:30 podcasting, they call it a lecture, but it's the 1 hour version of the workshop. A little bit less hands-on, a little bit less interactive, but just as important for anybody who's going to be there on Monday. So, and when we're not doing that, we're going to be running around. We're going to be working with Microsoft. I'm going to be working with PowerSchool. I'm going to be working with Padcaster. Going to be working with iThinkRight. All these great companies that are out there. Look for TeacherCast at ISTE this year. And if you see the back of my head, please feel free to find me, push me, stop me, whatever. I would love to meet you guys. And you can always, stop me over on Twitter at Ask the Tech Coach to let me know how you guys are doing. Are you guys going to ISTE? Are you super excited? Let me know over at Ask the Tech Coach on Twitter. We would love to hear from you guys. And of course, we would love to meet you. Guys, it is time to get into this subject because this is the big thing that we're going to be looking at as we head into the summertime with this very podcast. Jim, let's talk a little bit about our tech coach tip of the week. What is our tech coach tip of the week?
All right. So what we're getting at is as summer starts to get closer, many tech coaches are planning end of the year summertime PD for their staff members. So it's often a struggle to get teachers to attend, when they aren't contracted to, or when there isn't a strong incentive to get them there. So always remember that attendance and acceptance of summer PD is a personal choice for the teacher and should never be taken personal by the tech coach.
That is absolutely right. Now, my regular co-host on this show, Nick, is in a fantastic district where his teachers are expected to complete 21 hours in the school year. And if they don't, then they're required to stay after the contracted school year and do as many hours as needed throughout the year. In my school district, we don't have such a policy. We basically make sure everybody gets their hours done through the regular school year. And those are two completely different concepts. So let's kind of go through here. Jean Marie, I see you shaking your head. Talk to us a little bit about professional development in your district briefly. How is it done? And is there are teachers required to get in hours throughout the year? And what happens if they don't?
Big changes that have happened this year. One thing is we used to have trade days. Those 3 trade days were taken away. So teachers loved them because they had to be there contractually and it satisfied all our professional development needs. Now, contract changed. That was taken away. So there's no designated time for PD. So what the principals our administration ended up doing is saying, you know what, you're allowed to hold 13 meetings after school. Can you imagine how well this went over?
I'm sure.
13 meetings after school. So anyone that has to present during those meetings, you can imagine what that's like. So the only school that I've seen this really run well and effectively are those that created PLCs. That's it. And then they bring in guest speakers sometimes. I've presented a couple times at their PLC. It's a great thing. So that has eased the pain slightly.
Jim, what about yourself?
So we still have the trade days. So we've been doing that. So we have 2 days throughout the year where it's either you do some work over the summer and then record it. You have to get it approved, of course. And then that can trade off to those 2 days that we have throughout the year that you could either we want to have off, so you basically get that done in the summertime. So it's the day before Thanksgiving, and it's one of our days of our spring break. And then also throughout the year, we just do the typical, when there's election days, things like that as part of our PD time.
Jim,
but then, go for it.
Your PD? Who runs your PD? I'm just curious because that's a big kind of controversial topic in our district. Who delivers it? It's
usually started out from our curriculum directors, and then it kind of filters down to the principals, and then figure out the plan from there. One thing I've noticed, like you were saying, speakers coming in, stuff like that, we really haven't done a lot with that. with having a speaker come in and actually doing things during those PD days. And I
Don't
think
think
that
it's
would be
anything
great.
fancy, Jim. It's just me. You know what I mean?
Well, I know. Well, they all want to see me. So
what I think we can all agree on here is that every district is doing things similar, but also slightly different. So the first question I want to throw out here today is these end of the year PD days. Should we be doing this? Is this something that we should be forcing our teachers to do if they don't complete their 100 hours or their whatever their quota is for the year? Is this something that is positive, or should school districts be adding an extra PD day throughout the year?
I'll take it for a little bit. I know we've been having that controversy a little bit where our teachers really want more PD on certain things, and they're not, we're not giving them that time. And I think it should be done throughout the year where there should be more time invested, so that we can do things or go over things that we want our teachers to understand. So more time would definitely be great. A lot of the times with the end of the year kind of stuff, at the end of the year, we're fried, so why not start that off at the beginning of next year, to kind of get us going again. I don't know if it's very effective to do things that are for next year at the end of this year. I think it's better right before the beginning of the next year.
Well, can it really be called professional development for teachers, or should it be looked at as punishment for tech coaches?
Yeah, right. Pretty much. It's like, here, go ahead.
It sometimes can look at, if the kid does something wrong, now the parents are punished because they now have to stay inside and, instead of going on the vacation or something like it.
Right.
It's almost that, because as you said, nobody wants on June 25th, 6th, and 7th to be thinking about what their September stuff is.
Right.
And nobody wants to sit through intro to PowerPoint.
Correct. So I'm not, and that's the other thing too. When you're developing it, that's what you have to think about. All right, how am I going to engage my teachers? And make sure they're having fun, because this is the end of the school year. They're going to be done.
Right.
At that point.
And I know in many school districts that, this isn't Nick's particular situation, but, if a teacher is missing 3 hours and a teacher is missing 6 hours, then does that mean that one teacher comes for a half a day or a whole day? Like, how do you handle things fairly for that? And I'm going to repeat, poor tech coach that has to sit there and plan and do all these things when you've got people who aren't quite interested.
Right.
G. Marie, what do you think about all this stuff? You're the administrator today. So should we be putting our tech coaches in a position where they kind of have to perform for people who are just kind of there because they need to? And if so, what should those sessions look like? I mean, are they ed camp sessions? Are they ISTE sessions? Are they, here's 6 hours of time, go fill out this workshop or worksheet? What do you think?
It's all about your approach. For me, if you're going to do something like that, it has to be something that teachers themselves choose and something that they themselves are passionate about. So if you're going to do that, you want them to choose. So for instance, for me, I decided my first attempt at trying technology in the classroom was with Google Classroom. All as I did was post a question every day that year, and conversations started, great things started to happen. But what resulted in such a small, simple goal turned into something amazing. So what ended up happening is, and you'll like this, and I appreciate the audience can't see it, but Jeff is in his Philadelphia Eagles shirt right now. So that prompted me to tell this story. Well, I asked the students after Jake Elliott kicked that 54-yard field goal that led them to the Super Bowl, I asked my kids to go into the article that I posted in Google Classroom and just give me some math stats about it. Their answers were so thoughtful, I ended up taking a picture of what the students responded, and I sent it to Jake Elliott. I totally forgot I sent it to him on Twitter. I woke up the next morning and I had 80 responses. I'm thinking, what? I never get that many responses back. And here, Jake Elliott had responded back saying he drew up the calculation right before the kick. So think about the excitement that happened in my classroom just because I reached out to him on Twitter. And so my world changed, right? Just by using Google Classroom and trying a small goal. No pun intended. Well, that's more soccer, but anyway.
That is an awesome story and a great way to, remind our students that our classrooms do not have walls. They don't have boundaries. Anything that we're doing can be used in the real world to create those authentic learning experiences. And, that just kind of brings back this whole idea here of what type of sessions to do and really how to make this thing work. The question I've always struggled with is the activities. Now, you had said give the teachers the opportunity to choose. And the first thing on my mind is, oh my goodness, if I've got 10 people there, now the tech coach has to create 15 different assignments as opposed to a 1 hour, 2 hour, whatever it is, workshop on a given topic here. What kind of activities should we be doing? I mean, are we going to get people together in the heat of June, early July? And are we really going to be think pairing and sharing? Or are we going to be Chromebooking and all those other things? Like, what makes a successful day if everybody knows, guys, we're here to spend the time. Let's just get through this.
Can I take one thing with that?
Please.
We did this thing where, I just got finished with it. We just ended up getting the program WeVideo for our district. And what I was thinking was, all right, well, it is getting near. We just got it. So this was our May PD was that one election day. So my idea was, all right, well, I want to be interested in it. It is the end of the year. What can I do with it that'll kind of help with them understanding the product and then how to integrate it into their classroom? So I started just kind of like pulling it to the teachers. Like, you can use this too. So try it. Like, are you going on vacation this summer? Are you doing this? You can create videos with this product from your, because you have access to it. So
right.
I kind of got into it that way and was like, oh, yeah, well, maybe I could take my videos, my clips, my pictures and make a video for my family. Like, yes. Now think about how can you do that with your students, so kind of tailoring it into something that is personal to them, but also something they can use for school. I could do that over the summer.
And that's a perfect idea. Figure out a way for your teachers. And I always say with your students, put them in a situation where they're doing something personal that they like, that they love. And then you throw the curricular activities in there. Then you throw the standards in. And, for if anybody's going to be at ISTE this year, that's exactly how we're going to be doing our educational podcasting workshop. We're going to be running around the convention center, making a podcast about whatever topic you want. And then we're going to bring it all together and we're going to listen to it. By the way, again, that's going to be Saturday morning at 8:30. Now, Jean Marie, you have a pretty extensive list of things that we could be doing on staff PD days. And I love the idea that you bring up here of kind of compartmentalizing this, like maybe do a session, like let's say you're there for 6 hours, right? Maybe you do a session on screencasting. Maybe you do a session on video. Maybe you do a session on audio or on micro-credentials. How do you see all these little components putting together for maybe a full day or in some people's cases, 3 days?
So there's a lot of great things you can do, right? There's so many amazing things out there. So sometimes we categorize things with technology of things we want to get good at. My favorite PD, though, I like to do is based on need. So when I was rolling out Google Classroom this year at the elementary level, I thought, what is going to make their life easier? So instead of doing the approach of, teaching them more techie things and letting them try to figure it out, I really teach, like, if you use Google Forms this year, think about how that will save you from grading on assessments. That would be a nice beginner point. Get them hooked. And that's what I did all year. I got them hooked. Once you do something like that, the other idea is, of course, like an Ed Camp style, which is my favorite. Screencastify. You have to open up, and my theory on PD is you have to open up the possibilities before you roll out the rest. A lot of times right now, because we're so new, they don't know all the possibilities yet. So I push into classrooms and I show them the possibilities, and then my phone rings off the hook.
That is an awesome little tip. There's so many tech coaches out there just try to come in, teach the tool, teach an activity, but they don't teach that concept of ask the possibilities. We talk a little bit about what you should be doing. I want to flip this here because this is the biggie. What shouldn't we be doing, right? Like, let's say that you are there and you're faced with, again, 1 or 3 days, and you might have 10 people the first day. And by the time that third day and that 6-hour third day rolls around, maybe you only have one person. You certainly don't want to do a 6-hour one-to-one mentorship on somebody 3 days after graduation when the air conditioning may or may not be right. You get the idea here. So what are some things, Jim, that you would definitely suggest to a tech coach? Don't even think about trying this.
Don't lecture. Start off right away. Just don't. I mean, I've been to so many of them where it's just you're sitting there and someone just tries to lecture you on something that's like blows my mind. Like I'm checked out.
So
and like if I'm the one that's presenting, I am not doing that to these teachers at all. They are checked out. I understand that. So you got to keep them engaged. You got to do things, get them up, move around, talk. Have conversations, stuff like that. But if you have that one topic you got to hit, that's great. But just don't sit up there and talk.
I often find during these PD sessions, sarcasm doesn't work well.
Yeah.
I will be honest. I've done this session where you walk in and the first slide says on the bottom, slide 1 of 72.
Yeah.
And you just sit and you wait to see if they get it, and you're waiting for guys. Sarcasm doesn't work.
No.
And not this summer, Jeff. Come on.
You're right. That's
That is so funny.
All right, so I have to go now fix my ISTE slides. What do you think, Jean Marie? Like, I know for myself, I usually start these summer days by sitting down and just guys, we're here. Let's have some fun. We're all in this together. Let's, who wants to get pizza at lunchtime? Let's just do this. What do you think? Like, what are the don't try this kind of rules that you keep in mind?
Don't try to do anything serious. I'm not kidding. I would do passion projects. Like, guess what my number one request is right now of workshops they want me to run this time of year.
Field goal kicking?
Yeah.
It is pick photos.
Really? What's
Isn't
that?
Interesting. They're like, will you run a workshop on photos? The other thing that's very frustrating is working with videos. In fact, Richard Byrne is running a really awesome camp in May that's very much based on a lot of this stuff. And so that's really a big thing right now.
Well, I guess it's over because May's over.
You're up. May's over.
Sorry, Rich. Okay.
But I do like that concept, right? Hey, because you can email the people ahead of time. Guys, we're going to be talking about this kind of thing. Do me a favor. Can you just bring in a bunch of digital photos or bring in some stuff? Take some video of your kids on your iPhone. I'm going to show you what you can do with it over the summertime.
Because then they're invested, right? And there's something that's going to help them in their personal life too. So why don't you marry those two, right?
Yeah. And then put it together. That's what I like about it. Doing stuff like that. That's something they can use for themselves. They can also be that curricular part of it.
Tim, you're great at that stuff.
Well, thank you.
So we have I threw this topic out up on Twitter. And again, if you're looking over here, you can go over to Twitter and hit on Ask the Tech Coach as our Twitter handle for the show. And the question here is, how do you handle staff members that are supposed to be attending PD but don't? And I'll tell you what, we're gonna hit that topic when we come back. We are talking to Jim and Jean Marie all about summertime PD. We'll be back in a couple minutes. More from Ask the Tech Coach. Friends, before we move on with our show, I wanted to let you guys know I have been in education now for almost 20 years, and I've seen the changes some students have come to face every single day, whether it's going through school hungry, not being able to see a doctor when they're sick, or not getting the proper rest at night. These challenges make it hard for kids to focus on their learning. I remember a story of a student who came to my office one day and she could barely stay awake due to all the circumstances happening around her at home that were beyond her control. I didn't know what I could do, and I wanted to be able to help her out in any way that I could. Thankfully, Concordia University in Portland is leading the way with their 3 to PhD program that helps to combat students' fears, freeing them to pursue their highest dreams. They're revolutionizing education by creating a holistic model that provides groceries, healthcare, and even clothing to students right here on campus, helping them thrive and helping our communities strengthen and grow. Concordia's College of Education offers online and on-campus programs where students have the opportunity to learn about a more compassionate approach to education and see how nurturing the whole student can lead to amazing amazing things. To learn more about how you can help students conquer their monsters and achieve their highest dreams, visit cu-portland.edu/let's conquer. That's cu-portland.edu/let's conquer. And use the hashtag #NatureEducateGrow. And we are back today talking about summertime PD, how to get everything in. I'm here with Jim and Jean Marie, two great technology instructional specialists from the state of Pennsylvania. Looking forward to doing all these great things at ISTE and seeing everybody there. And when we left here, we were talking about this whole concept of making teachers come during the summertime. Many school districts do, many school districts don't. But what happens if a teacher's supposed to be somewhere, but then doesn't? And I know the answer for this one, but I want to see what Jean Marie says.
I'm kind of excited that you know the answer, so maybe I should hold back. I'm going to get a little psychological on you for a minute, okay? So a lot of times I've been teaching quite a few years at this point. So a lot of times I feel like that resistance happens because they're insecure about a topic I'm teaching. Well, I mean, if you think about it, it's math and technology. So I have a couple challenges, but sometimes it's that. So I think the other thing is I'm relentless at involving them or pushing into their classroom in the sense that I want them to develop a comfortable relationship with me. And I do think that relationships affect what is carried over into the classroom.
Nice.
So you're saying it's all about relationships and to get people to come?
I think that's part of it.
What's the other part?
She's an admin, so she makes them come.
I know that's why I went to her first.
What were you going to say, Jeff? I'm dying to know what the answer was.
Let Jim go first. Jim, what's your answer? You're scheduled to be with somebody and they don't. And the point here is then there are no more days for them to make up their PD.
Right.
What do you do?
Yeah. I mean, that's, I guess, where you take it on the, so I'm not, so on the, you have the admin side, Jean Marie, and I'm like, I don't. So whereas I can't really say to them, like, you have to be here. It's, if you are. But I mean, that I like the relationship part. That's what I try to do with all my staff. Like, make sure that they understand who I am, I'm working with them, and that I build that relationship with them so that they enjoy being with me to learn with me, stuff like that. Now, if someone doesn't show up, something like that, for whatever reason, then I want to try to give them something to help them with it. If like, for example, we use Canvas for our middle school and high school, so I can even build something through Canvas and push that out, to those teachers to do on their own, and maybe admin, Gene, could approve it or something like that. And we can get like a badging system saying that they, completed this PD or something like that, I think
there's even a deeper problem there. Like, what is the reason? What is their reason? And right. I think that question isn't asked always. Right. But really, I would want to know, like, what is your reason? Are the topics not appealing? Are you going through a bad time in life? What's going on there? That's right. all.
Yep.
And all those are completely valid. I mean, the only answer that I was coming up with is, if you have a district, I hate using Nick as the example here, but he's not here right now. If you're in a district where at the end of the year, 14 people have to come. Well, clearly, by the time that those days rolls around, there's an official notice that goes out that says you need to be here. There's an official list, and I think every tech coach I've ever met, except for Jean Marie, is not an administrator. So you kind of have to be in that ugly situation to say, hey, dear curriculum superintendent director person, this person was supposed to be here. This person isn't. I'll go let you do your job. And it's not our job to police. It's our job just to report.
Right.
And what happens with those reports. A lot of times principals don't enforce those. And then what happens is the teachers all talk about it, and then you're having animosity. We have to be here, but he doesn't have to be here, So that really has to be nipped in the bud too. That has to be addressed.
really what we're looking at here, and really this is the theme of just about every show we've done. It's about creating a positive culture for digital learning, and that's really our jobs. That's why we're here. That's why we exist. That's why we're called specialists. But it's creating that culture in your building, in your school district, in your anything that says, look, this is not a chore. This is amazing. And look what we can do here. And come on, guys, let's try this together. I know it's 100 degrees inside the classrooms these days, but let's go with that stuff. Now, I want to switch a little bit here from talking about those end of the year things to, the fact that many tech coaches right now are thinking about August. And this is the time of year where they're planning things like boot camps. They're planning things like, let's get together and take the Google Cert test, or let's get together and do some kind of a fun ed camp or unconference or something like that. What advice do you have for anybody trying to put these things together? Because again, it is a culture thing. Some school districts have 90 people show up over the summertime, and some don't have any. What's your advice, Jim, when trying to put together these midway through the summer, let's just get back together, hooray, yada, yada?
I would say it comes to even working with your admin to kind of develop these things, because for my district, a lot of it comes from, the top down kind of thing of what's going to happen over the summer. Whereas I think I would like to throw in some ideas there, and get them ready for this and understand what I think they need to get going for next year, and then, but also when we do these PD sessions or whatever, and hopefully, they allow it to occur before the school year starts, making it that something that's going to be fun, interactive, that they're going to want to come to, not something that like, I just have to go here for this reason to learn this curriculum or whatever. More of like, oh, this is going to be great for my school year. This is going to help me out.
I'm going to add on to that thought exactly. It has to be purposeful.
Yeah.
So if teachers it either has to be fun and engaging where they're learning something new, or they're checking off that list. Teachers love to get things done and get things checked off, or make their life easier. So I agree.
I know some school districts that try to get as many of the 25, whatever it is, the hours done over the summertime. They'll run an ed camp, they'll run a boot camp day. They'll actually do a couple different versions, so that way teachers can get their professional development out. Or at least the concept is, come on into the building where the air conditioning is. We'll give you 2 or 3 days of just sit, work with the tech coach, get it done. I'll give you the hours. And now when September comes, you're off and running.
Yeah. That's where I would like to go with it. Make sure that they have something that they can work with.
Now, do you guys run summer?
Go ahead. Yeah, sorry. One thing I do is I look for patterns. So I keep every project, everything in Google Keep, and I love it. Because what happens is it allows me to track patterns. So for example, this year, I noticed that the third grade teachers were kind of like, not initiating a lot of tech and, Google Classroom. So what I'd done is I went throughout the district and I taught a lesson that incorporated 3 different technology pieces in an actual lesson that they were teaching. And I said, can I teach this for you? So a lot of hard work on my end, but the result of that was significant, right? Because I didn't even know you could do that. Well, wait, this is great. I could use it for this, that. So that's what you need. And also, too, I think what helps is if you have, I develop tech teams, that kind of tech leaders. So I have a district tech team from each building, so we can kind of discuss things. And then they help me out in buildings. What's the need of your building? So it's a buy-in. It's buy-in in the beginning, and then it kind of, ignites after that.
We would love to know what you guys are thinking about this topic. We've been engaging a lot of you guys off on Twitter at Ask the Tech Coach. We would love it if you guys would reach out on Twitter and let us know what your professional development looks like. Are you sitting there this week trying to put together stuff for the end of the year? Are you planning on things to do next year already? Are you even working on your new teacher orientation stuff? That's a topic we're definitely going to be getting into over the next few weeks. But first, I want to know what you guys are thinking. Jim, do you have any last advice, right? I want to ask you guys, what is your advice for any new, let's just start with new tech coaches, right? Maybe this is the first summer that they're running into, or the second summer, and they're trying to do something that's going to be building that culture. Not everybody, like Jean Marie is doing, has been in a district, has that rapport with teachers, has that culture going. Jim, what advice do you recommend for any new tech coach that's out there just trying to be innovative?
I think the best thing would be to get to know your teachers. Get out there, meet them. I know, like, if you're the only one in the district, well, it's tough to get around to everybody, but try your best. Get into their classroom, say hi, get to know them, get to know about them. Because the more relationship you build with them, the more productive they'll be for you and working with you. So that would be my suggestion for that.
Jean Marie, what do you think? What advice do you have?
Okay, can I do something fun? So for me, what I do every year is I do something new that I've never tried over the summer. So like last year, I decided to learn how to surf. And I'll tell you, you're probably like, where the heck is she going with this? Well, I did that because it teaches me what it feels like to do something new where I have no background knowledge. And it reminds me to be patient. It also reminds me what teachers are going through when they learn something new and what my students are going through when they're learning something new. So I think it's perspective. So that's just one tip. I think you should just do something new this summer. All
right, Jean Marie, you got me on this question. What are you doing this summer?
Oh, no, I didn't get that far yet. Oh, gosh. Can I tell you at ISTE? How about I follow up? Anyone that's following me on Twitter, I'll have to think it's, or I'll take suggestions on Twitter.
We're going to do an Ask the Tech Coach skydiving event into ISTE on Sunday morning. It's going to be fantastic. It'll be absolutely great.
Yep.
I bet we can build that.
Yes. And by the way, if anybody's interested in doing that, we'll give you PD hours because it's the summertime. We'll be all right there. We'll just, Jim's going to be working on the autocrat. It'll be amazing. It's totally fun there. Guys, we want to say thank you so much for being on the show. This is Ask the Tech Coach episode number 53. All of our shows are going to be in our archive. And I want to end today by saying I am so excited because either before or after ISTE or sometime, we're actually going to be relaunching our entire Ask the Tech Coach brand. Our Ask the Tech Coach website's being completely redesigned, and we are going to be relaunching our Ask the Tech Coach Mastermind in the middle of August, just in time. If you're looking to do that, we've got some great plans and packages for you guys. You can, of course, head on over to teachercast.net/mastermind, learn all about it. We are looking forward to having you guys as part of our mastermind next year, and we've got some amazing things. Don't forget that if you're a tech coach on ISTE, we're going to be doing our Saturday workshop at 12:30 to 3:30. Yes, that's right. Saturday for 3 hours. Instructional Technology Coaches Roundtable. We're going to do a whole bunch of stuff. I hope to see you guys there. Jim, where can we learn more about the great things that you're doing, and how do we reach out to you?
Yeah, you can check me out. I'm on Twitter at Jim_Gosser. I've also started up a Instagram that I'm starting to work with a little bit called @InnovativeDad with the number 8 in there.
We will make sure we have all the links to that.
Fireside chats too. It's amazing.
Yes, there you go.
Your fireside chats.
The quilt on YouTube. I'm working on that as well.
Ooh. See, there's more show topics here.
There you go.
Jean Marie, where can we find you? And please don't say the ocean.
You can in Ocean City. I will be in the ocean. At JM_EdCoach.
Nice. And we want to know what you guys are doing. Again, check us out on Twitter at Ask the Tech Coach. All the archives are going to be over at AskTheTechCoach.com. And even if you can't make it to our Saturday afternoon workshop, we would love to have you find us on Twitter. You can always hunt us down at Ask the Tech Coach. I would love to meet you guys and learn what you guys are going to be doing this coming school year as instructional technology coaches. And that wraps up episode number 53 of Ask the Tech Coach. My name is Jeff Bradbury, and on behalf of everybody here in the TeacherCast Educational Network, thank you so much for joining us today. Keep up the great work in your classroom and continue sharing your passions with your students.